Today's episode of Profiles in Risk is sponsored by SaveLaney.com. Our friend Alexander is a claims adjuster, and he uses a service dog for his autism and a couple of other conditions. His service dog, Laney, has been diagnosed with a very, very curable cancer, and we are helping raise funds to save Laney. Learn more at SaveLaney.com. Thank you. The question I have for you, what if your pet was more than a pet? What if your pet was also a key part of the family, which they are? What if they were also a key part of your ability to function successfully at work and at life? That is what a service animal is. And it's not an easy process to replace Laney. If the treatment didn't go well, it's not only the financial cost of replacing her, this is an incredibly emotional, difficult situation for any pet owner. And Laney, as a service animal, is so much more than a pet. Okay. Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your host, Tony Cañas, and today I am pitching a double header. This is the second recording of the day, and I have with me Spiros Skias, owner at Inc. Digital Marketing. Spiro, thank you for joining me today. How's it going?
I'm doing great, Tony. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. Awesome. So we, looking at LinkedIn, it looks like you are in the Greenville, South Carolina area. And it is June 22nd, first day of summer, or the second day of summer. I myself, currently, I'm in Argentina, where it's winter. But I'm normally based in Atlanta, Georgia, and South Carolina is not too far away. So if I had to guess, right now you're like 98 degrees and 100% humidity?
No, it actually feels like the first day of fall here today. It's raining, cold, windy, so it's not the greatest.
Sorry to hear that. Is the forecast for the weekend looking better?
I haven't even checked, but hopefully it is. Hopefully it will warm up pretty quickly. It usually does.
Okay, awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
So we always give the guest the chance to give the elevator pitch. What is Inc. Digital Marketing?
Yeah, so Inc. Digital Marketing is a marketing service that is entirely dedicated to supporting the Insurtech space. One of the reasons I started this company was because I felt that there was a deficiency in marketing that is exclusive for Insurtechs. There's a lot of marketing firms out there, a lot of marketing agencies, and unfortunately, a lot of them don't understand this space. Insurance is complex. Insurtech is even more complex. And if you don't understand the industry very well, it's really hard to market it. So that's really what we do. We provide marketing services anywhere from CMO level services, marketing operations, rev ops, sales support, all the way down to event planning, brand development, digital advertising, lead generation, etc. So it's a full operational capability that we cater specifically to Insurtechs.
This is very, very interesting. Number one, it's very, very interesting that we are at the point in the Insurtech industry life cycle where somebody's doing this, and it makes sense to do this. So fantastic. It signals a level of maturity for the Insurtech industry. And I completely agree that insurance is a crazy business. Insurtech is even more complex. And even like the definition of the word Insurtech. So let's actually talk about that, because I wonder if you work with any of them or if you're specific. So what originally Insurtech was basically tech companies that wanted to be carriers, and we want to put State Farm out of business for the next 5 years, right? And now it's really matured, and we have full stack carriers, we have MGAs, and we have a ton of tools providers who sell to, and the reason I bring up the differences is because they sell to different audiences, right? So full stack providers sell usually to a final consumer of some sort. The MGAs might sell to a final consumer, they might sell to the agency space, they might sell to both. And the tools providers sell either to carriers or agencies and MGAs. So which ones of those are you servicing, or yes?
Yeah, so great question. My focus, our focus here is purely on the tool providers. Okay,
Okay, perfect.
it's not that we can't support the carriers and MGAs, but given the background, well, my personal background, I used to be a product person on the Insurtech side, right? So I spent well over 10 years managing rating engines and policy admin systems, and focusing on the solution providing side, and I felt that that's where the biggest need was. And mostly because a lot of the insurtechs that are starting up that are solution providers, they're super tech savvy, but they don't necessarily come from the insurance industry, and I think that's where the gap lies, right? So they're great at building technology, but they don't understand how to navigate the space so much from a marketing perspective. So it's trying to connect.
100%. Yes. Makes perfect sense. And I do want to point out that before Insurtech, you actually spent 3 years at a traditional carrier, as traditional as they get, just about.
Yeah, Erie Insurance.
So
yeah.
you've had so you've had both the traditional carrier view and the Insurtech view. That makes perfect sense to me. Okay, let's do a quick case study. Okay, so my friend Andy, and actually Andy's not that good of a case because he has Insurtech experience. Okay, so let's say that my friend Andy is a former CTO who's had one exit but not in Insurtech, and now he finds a co-founder who spent a couple of years in an agency or whatever. Anyway, the two kids are very promising. They can build technology together, and they decided to build something to serve the insurance industry, and like what they're doing actually makes sense. Often it doesn't, but what they're doing actually makes sense. Excuse me. But they have no idea how to market their really awesome technology for a real problem to the carriers or agencies. They see you on this podcast and they give you a call. What does the process look like?
Yeah, so that's a great question. The first thing that I think is the most important is understanding who your target audience is. Who are you actually trying to sell to? And I think a lot of insurtechs end up, I don't want to say fail in that category, but they struggle to identify who they're actually marketing their solution to.
I'm going to say fail. Yeah. Who are you selling to? Nationwide Insurance. Who at Nationwide Insurance? Somebody on the IT side.
Well,
or somebody on the product side.
Yeah, and Tony, I've seen this a million times where you have this insurtech that has hired an outside marketing firm that doesn't understand the space, and they only offer solutions for P&C, and if you want to get more specific, it's just for E&S, specialty lines, whatever. But the marketing agency is marketing to life and health, and all these other lines of business, or other different factors. So it is complicated, and if you don't understand the difference between an MGA, a carrier, a broker, agency, the different lines of business and how to navigate that, your marketing is going to fail pretty quickly. So,
and this is this is not something that you can like. This is not something where a traditional marketing agency can quickly get up to speed, right? Especially if you can't guide them in that getting up to speed.
I agree.
It's
that's
a
right.
complex world.
And believe me, this is no knock on the traditional marketing agencies, because they do probably a phenomenal job at brand development and things like that. But when it gets down to the brass tacks of actually hitting your target audience and trying to generate leads and actually sell your product, that's where it gets really complicated. And the traditional approach of developing your target audience is very different on the insurance side too. And think of it this way: is a bad example, but in the consumer space, you're more worried about how old the person is, what are their likes and dislikes, and all their hobbies and stuff like that, in order to market to them to sell them a watch or whatever the case may be. In a B2B play, it's very different. You're more concerned about the type of company you're selling to versus the actual individual that's making those decisions.
Makes perfect sense. Okay, so could this be thought of as a fractional CMO service?
A big portion of it is, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
But there's different levels. Every company is different. Some companies already have a marketing team in place and they just need additional support or guidance. And then there's others that don't have any marketing at all that need a full developed strategy and an implementation approach. And I think that's one of the other differences between Ink Digital Marketing and others, is that we don't just develop a strategy, we actually implement it. And that's a big deal. I didn't want to start this and just come in and say, oh, you should do A, B, and C, and then just walk away. So we actually do the work and get them to where they need to be.
Okay. So it's a very customized solution to your particular target audience, to your particular product. Perfect. So first we have a conversation, see if we see eye to eye. Could we get a preview on like what kind of commitment? What is the minimum commitment to start actually working with you?
So typically it's a 3-month engagement and it's a block of hours. And we try to,
Okay.
I have the firm belief that you're building a relationship. We've never met, right? It's our first time kind of interacting with each other. I want to give the customer an opportunity to get to realize our capability and feel comfortable with us, and vice versa. I want to feel comfortable with the client that we're working with. And I feel that a 3-month engagement is a pretty decent amount of time to really gauge whether we can work together. So we usually start out as 3-month, and then from there we decide how we're going to move forward.
Okay, perfect. I have a question really out of left field. So feel free to not answer it, or feel free to answer it and then email me tomorrow going, hey, please cut this part out, and I will. It's pure curiosity. I'm just wondering, so if the right Insurtech, and I'm sure that this would not work with any client, but if an Insurtech reaches out and they're doing something where you're like, this is going to be super successful, but they're currently in the situation where they're cash poor, they're working on raising, would you consider doing work for some equity kind of thing?
It's funny you asked that, because I have thought about that. The situation has never come up, so I haven't had to really make that decision. However,
I've thought about it as a recruiter. Continue.
Yeah. However, it's an interesting proposition. I don't know if I would do that deal or not. If I had enough cash flow coming in from other customers, I probably would take the deal, without a doubt.
Yeah, that's kind of the same place where I'm at. It hasn't come up for us either, but it's an interesting model, and of course I couldn't afford to do it for every client, but
Right.
It's an interesting model for like a very specific couple of clients kind of thing. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I don't know.
So,
you know what, Tony? I don't know if a client would actually do that, though. I think that a lot of companies in that
I'm
situation
guessing.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that a client that truly believes in their product wouldn't do it, because they would feel that regardless of how few stocks they're giving you, they're overpaying, right? So correct. And if there's a founder out there who like has done something like this, I'd love to hear from you. In fact, I'd kind of love to have you on the podcast to talk about how that went. Or if there's a vendor out there that has done a deal like this, I'd love to chat with you and maybe have you on the podcast to talk about how it went. So sorry about that. That's my ADHD, right? Brain taking over. So I am really curious how you ended up. So the move from product at an insurance company to product at an Insurtech to marketing makes perfect sense to me. But what I am really curious of is how does a computer science major end up in marketing?
Well, it's an interesting point. I personally think that that there's a connection between software development, product development, and marketing. And I think that's another aspect that makes us unique is because we do have that software development background. We're not just coming in talking about SEO and all the other marketing stuff. It's like we actually want to see the product in action. We want to understand how the product functions, what it looks like, because marketing is the machine that should be driving decisions and making suggestions on how to change the product to make it even better. And I think a lot of firms don't do that. I think they've failed and separated software development and the product from marketing completely, and it's a huge disservice. I mean, they're missing out on a great opportunity. But how I got into it, Tony, I have a huge creative side behind me. I write music on the side. I've authored a book in the past. So I've always had that creative element to me, and I feel that a lot of software development is creative. It's more creative than it is scientific in some regard. So anyway.
Okay. So, of course, the moment you said you've authored a book, I have to go to Amazon. And you have a very unique name, which I am wondering where the name's from. But
Yeah.
so it looks like so I'm seeing Surviving Time. Is
Yeah.
it fiction or is it nonfiction?
It's fiction.
What is it about? Okay.
Wow, it's a long story. It's not even available anymore. So it's like I
Okay.
have like the only copy left, but it's a sci-fi, it's a science fiction book about a group of campers that get caught in a time warp. They're out camping and they get caught in this time warp and get catapulted back into like the 1800s or something like that. And they find out that it's this evil government organization that's trying to change the future by going into the past and changing the past and doing things in the past in order to create this utopian future that they want. So they
That does
kind of
sound
catch on, they fight back. Yeah.
that sounds pretty cool. And you are correct. Right now, you can't even find it on eBay.
Yeah.
So
I have literally the last copy that I might be auctioning off if Ink Digital Marketing fails. So.
fantastic. Okay. Yeah, this is pretty cool. So normally I ask guests if they have any great client success stories, and you, from my perspective, you are free to share the client name, or if you prefer not to, or if you're NDA'd from or whatever, if it's not appropriate, don't share the client name. But any great client success stories?
I think that's still in the works. I've had a great testimonial from one of my clients, One Click Data, which is also.
Excellent. I like him. I like him a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing great stuff, this just goes to show the breadth of the type of support and service that we offer. We came in to help analyze their subscription data and trying to help them figure out a better pricing model and things like that. So it has really nothing to do with marketing from that perspective, but it has everything to do with product and rev ops and stuff like that. So, they seemed super happy with the service I was able to provide them in the time frame that we had to get them moving forward.
Fantastic. Awesome. This is very cool. I like your approach to it. I like your experience prior, and it's very exciting that Insurtech is at this point where it makes sense for somebody to do this. So I really wish you best of luck, and you have a memorable name. So it'll be easy for me to when an Insurtech, whether it's during a recording or after, says the word marketing, I'll be like, have you talked to Spiro? Have you talked to Digital Inc? So
Awesome.
Thank you for your time today. when this goes live, I will tag you on LinkedIn, and I'll tag the company on LinkedIn, and look forward to have you back in a year or two to talk about how the company has grown and the effect that you've had in our market. Because one thing I do know is this was deeply necessary. I'm glad that somebody's doing it, and I'm glad that the person that's doing it comes from our world, and gets our crazy little weird world, and especially our crazy little extra weird world of Insurtech. So great chatting with you
Absolutely.
today. Thank you for your time.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Tim. I really appreciate it. We'll see you soon. Thanks.